Okay, if I were to tell you there's a car, interior space is probably less than the smallest hatchback available in India right now. It's an electric, has a true world range of about 130 or 140 kilometers, and it costs 55 lakh rupees on road. You tell me, get out of here. But we're talking about the Mini Cooper SE, or as we like to say, the first electric Mini. Hi, my name is Dhruv Paliwal, you're watching autoX, and today we're reviewing this gorgeous Mini Cooper. So let's get started. Now, when talking about any new car or reviewing any car, I try and stay away from talking about design because, well, what's salty to me can be sweet to someone else. What I mean to say is that design, it's subjective. What I like is not something that you might like, and vice versa. But the Mini Cooper SE leaves little to no room for interpretation because it's a sweet looking car. I mean, I have to say, first of all, the typical Mini proportions. It's a compact car, but it still looks like a typical Mini on the road. And Minis look special, especially in India where there are very few of them. That's point one. Second of all, the front end here, I know it's a very low car, so it doesn't look like it, but actually if you come down to eye level and look at it, it's quite an aggressive and macho front end because a lot of it is blocked out. It looks bulky, it looks chunky, and it has presence. And I must say, it might look like the Mini Cooper SE would not have presence on the road, but actually everyone looks around twice to catch a glimpse of this car when you're out driving it. I mean, I was stopped at red lights and people almost wanted to come and peer inside what the car's like because it looks so damn special. That's a good thing. Second of all, presence is one thing, is people noticing it. Second thing is getting out of your way. And people get out of your way when you give the dipper in this. I was actually driving it yesterday and every time I flashed my headlights, people would instantly move out of the way because it just looks something special, something expensive in your rear view mirror. It looks like that someone with substance is going to be driving this car. And that's always a plus point. Second of all, yeah, it's a very low car. Actually, if you can see, the height of the car is below my shoulder line, so that'll tell you how low it is. Looks quite good. Then you have a lot of these insignias all over the car, these S monikers which have been finished in neon yellow. Now these are limited to the electric Mini. You won't find them on the regular Mini Coopers, and that's because this is what Mini wants to, how Mini wants to separate their electric lineup. The same color is present on this ORVM here also. It looks very cute, looks very jovial, very fun. That's good. And as you come towards the back, the theme continues here because you find this Cooper S badging here. The S is again finished in the neon yellow. There is also this electric insignia over here which differentiates this Mini from the rest. And I think I have to save the best bit for the last. The wheels. You pretty much won't find anything looking like this on Indian roads apart from if you're driving like a really fancy electric car. These are typically called aero wheels because these covers, they make the wheels more aerodynamic so air doesn't go in. It increases aerodynamic efficiencies of the car, and that's really, really important when you're driving an electric car. But the side result is that they look really, really cool. Yeah, you'd have a bit of a problem finding how to get this wheel off just in case you have a puncture, but do not worry. What BMW does is, what Mini does is that they give you run flat tires. So if you shred this tire, you'll probably be able to drive it for like 100 kilometers or something, but after that you will have to end up replacing the tire. It's a one-time use thing. It's good that you don't generally get punctures, but when you do get one, you will have to replace the tire. So that's that. So you don't really have to take off the wheel too many times. That's all about the design of the Mini Cooper SE. You know what? I'm going to leave a link to the BMW Mini configurator down in the description. I want you to head there. There are 4 colors on offer. You can check them out there. And I personally love the British Racing Green. Which one do you like? If you had to get your Mini, which color would you pick? I want to know. Tell me down in the comments below. I'm going to be waiting for your answers. Now let's move on to the next bit. Alright, let me quickly highlight the practical bits of the Mini, and yes, there are a few. I mean, it's a small car, but it can get some things done for you. But first of all, there is no storage space here. This doesn't have a front, there's an electric motor here, so there's nothing you can do in the front. Let's come to the rear now, and over here I want to show you the boot first. It's a small car, so it's a small boot. I think what you can probably fit in here is one overnight suitcase, that is one piece of hand luggage that you can carry to the airport, the small size of the suitcase that you can bring in here, and a couple of small backpacks. That is it. You do, however, have this neat little compartment down here, and in here generally you store your portable electric charger. If you don't want to store that, you can remove it. There's quite a bit of space here. You can store other stuff down here. And the one neat feature I like is that if you pull this flap up and take it all the way back, it actually stays there. So you don't have to hold it with one hand and remove stuff. You can actually just put it in there, it stays in there, and then when you pull it, it just comes back down. That's a really nice touch. Now if you want more space, the only way to do that is to take off this parcel tray, fold down these two rear seats, and voila, now you have quite a bit of space. Yes, enough space to actually carry a few luggages. It's not a fully flat surface here, so yes, that is a bit of a problem. But still, I mean, you can carry hard luggage in here. It won't get spoiled or it won't break or anything like that. You also have a space for your dog now. Your dog can comfortably fit in here. Even slightly larger dogs will not be really uncomfortable in here. They'll be able to sit peacefully. That's that. So yeah, now why don't I head inside? But before I head inside, let me also show you how the Mini charges. It's very simple. It's the same fuel filler cap that was there in the regular Mini. You open this and you have these two holes over here. You have these covers over them. So you remove the first one. This one's for the slow charging. This one's for the portable charging, the AC charger that you have at your home. But if you are using a public charger, then you remove the second cover as well, and now you have your CCS 2 port over here. Just plug this in. The Mini can take up to 50 kilowatt of charging speeds. That means that 0 to 80 happens in around 36 minutes. 0 to 100% using DC power happens in around an hour and 15 minutes. If you're using your local, your wall box charger at home, that is the one that Mini sends over, then that one takes around 3.5 hours to completely charge it, and 2.5 hours to charge it from 0 to 80%. Finally, and the most impressive bit, is the portable charger. I hooked it up to my 5 ampere socket at home at around 58% of battery, and 4 hours later my Mini was topped up full. So roughly translate that, it will take around 10 to 11 hours to fully charge this from 0 to 100 using a portable charger that you can pretty much plug in anywhere. I think that's the real game changer with the Mini Electric. Its range is not so much, but the fact that you can charge it very quickly makes it more usable. Now let's head inside and I'll show you the practical bits inside the cabin. Alright, let's talk about the inside of the cabin. I'll just harp a little about the design here first. I think initially it just becomes very clear to you at first sight that this is a quirky little cabin. The first thing is this huge round screen in front of you. It's unlike anything else you see in any car. It's been a traditional Mini design for years now. Then there's this nice pattern on the dashboard using piano black and matte black finish along with a touch of their neon yellow. So that looks really good. These door handles, really nice. I mean, really nicely done. The lock and unlock button has been integrated inside them. That works really well. Apart from that, you have this nice armrest here. The seats are comfortable. They're finished in this cloth finish. I would have ideally liked a leather finish seat in here, but these work. These are comfortable, and I think it's Mini paying homage to their own heritage about how their cars are very functional, and older Minis used to have interiors like this. As far as the steering wheel is concerned, it's quite chunky and nice to hold into your hand. Comes very easily. You have both reach and brake adjustability. The screen moves. The instrument cluster, it moves along with the steering wheel. The instrument cluster, it's an all digital affair here, but what Mini has done is these side screens, they display the same information. So on the right side you have your battery charge, on the left side you have how much power your motor is using. The center is a dynamic screen where you can change different pieces of information. You have your outside temperature, your range, your odometer, your charge percentage. Then you can configure your music from here. You can pick up your calls from here. So all that stuff happens in the central part of the screen. Apart from that, there are these toggle switches on the roof here for the lights, for the panoramic sunroof. You also have an SOS button here that you can press and get in touch with Mini's helpline services. And I really like these toggle switches. They have a really nice weight to them and they feel really nicely built. The toggle switches down here also are really nice. This one controls the first one. It controls the mode in which the car is. We'll talk more about them later. The second one's for traction control. The third one is actually the starter and the stop. The fourth one is the energy recovery button. Again, we'll talk about that one a little later. In terms of charging options, you get one USB Type-C, one USB Type-A, which is good. You have cup holders here and they're quite nicely placed, but there's one problem. Let me show you. If you put a 1 liter bottle or a tumbler in here, it kind of blocks your access to these crucial controls. Now, if these are controls I didn't need to use while driving, I would have understood this, but this is your sport mode, you need this. This is your traction control, you need this. This is your start and stop button, you will end up using it quite a lot. And this is your energy recovery button, which again you will need to use while you're driving. So the placement of this cup holder, of a bottle holder here could have been slightly better. You actually have no cup holders in the door, and if you want to put something, there's a cup holder at the back which you have to use. I mean, yeah, okay, it's a small car. We have to all make sacrifices here, and yeah, I'm happy doing that. Then there's a Harman Kardon system here. You have tweeters on these A-pillars here. You have a huge speaker on the door here. You have a couple of speakers at the back. You'll find the exact specs of the audio system on your screen. It's a nice audio system. It's not very bassy, but the mids, the trebles, they're really clear, and the sound quality is really rich, really nice. And you like listening to music inside this cabin. Apart from this, the ORVM, it's a automatic unit. Then I think I want to talk about the seats here. The seats, they're properly snug for me. They're properly comfortable for me. You have this extended calf rest also over here, which works really well. But I think the seats are a little too small. And yes, I know the Mini is a small car, but anyone who's larger than me in size buys this car will feel these seats to be a little uncomfortable. Okay, also I'll tell you more about this later, but this armrest here, it's actually keeps getting in the way while you're driving. A hand keeps hitting it, so the only way is to put this up. You still hit your hand on the side of the door over here, but I mean, yeah, if you're a smaller person, you will not have that problem quite a lot. Then you have these controls here in the center. Most of them, all of them are actually to control the screen. I actually like this way of controlling the screen. I don't want to use my hand because sometimes I press the wrong button while I'm driving. With these, it'll take me some time to get used to them, but once I have gotten used to them, at least I'll know exactly what I'm pressing, when I'm pressing it. So when I need these controls while I'm driving, they will be readily available. One last thing, and that's the fact that the Mini's seats are manually adjustable. You do not get physical controls to set the seat, and that I think is a bit of a pain point for me, because in a car this expensive, you don't want to be manually setting your seat. I think I actually find the manual like a better way to adjust your seat because it's quicker and you can like quickly get to the setting you want. But honestly, yeah, in a car this expensive, you have to give electric seats. That's the one point that I think really sticks out in the Mini's cabin for me. I'll also quickly show you what it's like to get into the back seat of the car, so that you know what that is like. Alright, so basically there are handles on the back of these front seats. They pull the seat instantly forward. You can get in over here. Okay, yeah, and as you can see, the driving seat, it's set to my position. I've pulled it back here. Actually, there is space. I think the seat's actually not to my driving position, so there is a lot of space here. But once I set the seat to my position, my knees, they touch the seat. The back of the seats have been scooped out here to give your knees slightly more space. And there is a secondary sunroof here. There's a large glass area here. You get your own speaker, your own cup holder here. So you do get nice bits here, but ultimately this place, it's not suitable for adults. Small adults like me can probably take in 15-20 kilometers of this place. Children will be relatively okay. Large adults like Parvesh in our office, he's more than 6 feet. Trying to get him into this back seat was a big task. It was not graceful at all. So I think, yeah, for adults, the back seat, it's kind of not usable. In emergency situations, you can spend some time here, but ideally you actually want to just drop the seats, use this Mini like a two-seater the way it's meant to be. Yeah, so I think we're done with the back seat. Now let's head to the front and start driving the Mini Electric. Alright, so what's the Mini Electric like to drive? Let's find out. Alright, 60, 80, 90, 100. Okay, yeah, that's quite quick. The point here I'm trying to make is it's an electric. It's called instant torque. You actually have 182 brake horsepower on tap at 270 Newton meters of torque. That's enough. I mean, it's not the quickest electric out there. The 0 to 100 time claimed by Mini is 7.3 seconds, which is honestly quick. The top speed is capped at 150 kmph. There's single motor on the front wheel that drives the front wheel. It's a front wheel drive car. And for all of that, the Mini is surprisingly quick. As far as your real world range goes, there are a couple of modes here. You can change them through this toggle switch. You have Green Plus. Now, Green Plus is a big no-no because it immediately switches off your climate control and everything, and this hot weather of India, that's not acceptable. Yeah, you do get like a 15 to 15% range increment. So use it only and only when you have really run into trouble and you do need those extra few kilometers. Generally, if I was at 130 kilometers of range and I shifted into Green Plus, it would generally take that range up to somewhere around 160 maximum, around 155. So use this mode only if you know that you will find a charger that works and you need that extra range to get there. Apart from that, as far as power delivery goes, it's fine. It's very usable. It's actually fun also. But because there's no air conditioning, you don't feel like driving the car. Then there's the green mode. The green mode again regulates the use of the AC, keeps the throttle input slightly dull than the regular settings. So yes, in that sense also, it's not the most fun mode to drive, and you feel the AC going off on and on again, and sometimes it just makes the cabin hot, takes away from the driving experience. The best mode I found to use in this car was the mid mode. That's the medium setting or the balance setting that Mini wants you to use most of the time. And in this, there is no compromise on climate control. You have full power delivery. You have a great throttle response. In fact, it's quite immediate and smooth at the same time. I think hats off to Mini engineers for giving us such fine control over the throttle. The throttle response is being calibrated really well, and that's what makes driving the Mini, this Mini, enjoyable. As far as the sport setting goes, okay, again, now going from the medium to the sport setting, you don't really see any drop in range, because that's because it's only the throttle response that becomes just a tad bit sharper. There's not a lot of difference in the way the car behaves. So I think on that front, the medium and the sport setting is what you'll be using most often. Not too big a difference between them, not too big a range drop. One thing I want to tell you about is that the algorithm which tells you how much range you have is quite good on the Mini Cooper SE. The range, no matter if you like immediately start flooring it or start driving in a slow fashion, it doesn't, there are no big jumps or big drops. You have very slight adjustment to your range, and that's a good thing because that lets you know, that lets you be sure exactly of how much space you have. Apart from that, I want to talk about the region in this car. So now there's a toggle switch here, and there are two region modes: low energy recovery, high energy recovery, depending on how much energy you want to recover. First of all, the low energy recovery mode, I think it's pretty well. You come off the throttle, the car slightly starts to slow down. It actually feels like it's coasting. At higher speeds, it's going to actually be, you might not even notice the effect too much, and it's going to be easy to use for everyone. But then you switch into high energy recovery mode, and that's where things can get a little bit problematic or actually easier depending on how you use the Mini Cooper SE. Let me tell you, as soon as you get off the throttle on this, first of all, if you're using region braking above a certain point, the brake lights come on, so people behind you do know that you are slowing down. That's the first part that's taken care of. Second of all, if you use the high energy recovery mode, in bumper to bumper traffic, you can drive the Mini without taking your foot off the accelerator. The only thing you have to do is control how much of the accelerator you press. And that's actually good. Yeah, it takes a bit of getting used to, and especially going down on inclines, you can get this really quick regen, and regen works more and more the slower you are. So say if you're at like 20-30 kmph, the effect of the regen will be felt a lot more. Your deceleration will be a lot more. So you'll have to be that much more attentive to what the car is doing. But the faster you're going, say 70, 80, 90 kmph, then the effect of the regen starts to come down because the deceleration rate is not that much. So because of that, it feels very natural to use at higher speeds. Low speeds, you have to get used to it, and if you can, then it's very rewarding in bumper to bumper traffic. Otherwise, just put it into low energy recovery mode, drive it over there. You're not going to be facing a lot of issues. Okay, now coming to the steering feels a little numb and it's quite heavy. There is heft to it, so at higher speeds you really appreciate that, but at lower speeds it's actually quite heavy to use, and in day-to-day driving, in tight situations, it can get a little cumbersome to use this. And the thing is, you're not getting feedback. The only thing is that it weighs up progressively, so it feels natural to use, but you do have to put in a lot more effort to use the steering wheel, and that can be kind of a deal breaker for some people. As far as the brakes go, you have good stopping power. When you actually come to a stop pretty quickly, you do feel the weight of the car coming to the front, and it starts feeling a lot heavier than a Mini should feel. That you have to take in mind, and if you actually go on the brakes softly, you actually feel this, that the Mini might not stop, but go on the brakes hard. The ABS, it's been controlled, it's been tuned really well, so it doesn't come in too early or come in too late. You hardly get tire slip, and it stops in time. But the thing is, because you're not able to feel what's happening down there, it takes away a little bit from your confidence. But once you get used to the Mini, I've now been driving it for 3 days, and I have kind of gotten used to it, and now I think I'm confident about driving the Mini in most driving conditions. Handling, it's a superb handler, but because of the fact that there is regen as soon as you get off the throttle, and long sweeping corners are not really the Mini's thing. I mean, yes, with a lot of practice you can make this like a corner cover in the hills, but that go-kart like handling that the Mini is known for, it still exists. But it's about darting into traffic, darting into gaps, making small corrections here and there. That's where the Mini really shines. I mean, I was going on a cloverleaf on the DND in Delhi, and once you get off that, like it's a long sweeping turn. So I was taking it, and I thought, okay, you know what, let me see if I can just turn my steering a little more and see what happens. Because generally in other cars that are front wheel driven, after a point of time, you start to get understeer. In the Mini, there was zero understeer. I couldn't shoot that shot because it was at a place where you really don't have access to shoot it. But what I thought was that it can actually feel a little too sharp if you're not used to it. So yeah, do check that out before you make any kind of a decision on buying this car. But if you are an enthusiast, if you like your driving, then you will really, really appreciate the Mini's handling. As far as the ride goes, okay, there is no hiding from the fact it's a firm setup, it's a stiff ride. And that happens to be the case with most CBU cars that come to India. And I'm not minding it. Yeah, you do feel some things inside the cabin, but is it hurting you? No. Is it taking away from the experience? No. Yeah, maybe if you have a bad back or something, if you are a little old and if you do not want that much energy going through your body, then it can feel slightly off. But a young guy like me, yeah, I have no issues with the ride quality here. It's on the firmer side. And there's one problem. Actually, the tires that this Mini uses, these are run flat tires, and they have a really stiff construction. So actually you have no give in the tires as well. And so sometimes when you go into a small imperfection on the road, you get a really weird noise from the suspension. That's not actually the suspension, that's the tires hitting the pothole or the whatever the imperfection is, and that's the noise that comes in. So it makes it feel like that the Mini is like not really good over bad roads. And I wouldn't say it's a rally car or anything, but it can hold its own. Ride quality stiff, yes. Usable, yes. So yeah, there goes that. Alright, it's again that time of the video where I have to sum things up. And if I had to say about the Mini Electric, I think it's a bit like falling in love. Let me explain. It's a stunning looking car. You'll have to make some sacrifices to get used to it. Every time you go out for a drive, it's going to put a smile in your face. Everyone will be admiring you for having this car. And lastly, as far as the price goes, whoever said that good things come in small packages didn't mention that the package is going to be cheap. So yeah, those are our thoughts on the Mini Cooper SE. Let us know what you think about the video down in the comments below. Thank you so much for watching. Until the next one, goodbye.